Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Fan Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Hey, we want to shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con. If you are a fan of comic books, if you're a fan of comic book conventions, and if you like meeting comic book creators and getting comics and comic-related stuff, then you need to make your plans to attend Daytona Beach Comic Con. This year's show is September 7th and 8th. Silverline will be there, so you should make your plans to be there too. We'll see you there. If you like comics and find yourself in the Orlando, Florida area, doesn't everyone come to Orlando at some point in time to see the House of Mouse? But when you're here, you need to make it a point to visit Coliseum of Comics, especially the one on East Colonial Drive. They carry Silverline comics, even a limited edition Coliseum of Comics version of our comics. So, when you go, be sure to ask for Silverline Comics and tell them we sent you. OCD stands for Orlando Collector Deviants. OCD, Steve and Trish. They're a family of geeks who promote geek things, particularly those around the Orlando, Florida area. They're big supporters of Silverline, and we think you should be supporters of theirs too. Go give them some love. If you are an independent comic book maker and you need to get your independent comics made, you need to look no further than Kablam Digital Printing. They print our books, and they do a bang-up job. They're not only trusted by Silverline, but many, many independent comic book makers. Head on over to kablam.com and see for yourself just how easy it is to have your comic printed by them. And tell them Silverline sent you.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
Hi, I'm Barb Kilber, co-host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham. Join us each Wednesday night as we discuss comics, literature, movies, and anything else that may catch our attention.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Silverline's Silver Sunday, this Sunday night on January the 28th, 2024. I am your host. I am Roland Mann, and I'm excited to be here tonight with my, the usual gang of idiots, including right next to me, Mr. Mike W. Belcher, the man in the mask guy. Say hi, Mike.
Hi, from the free section.
And, of course, our top troublemaker, Mr. Tom Mason. Say hi, Tom.
Hi, everybody. I'm here for trouble.
And, so I don't know if we'll get any late joiners, but hopefully we will, because tonight's topic, we're going to talk about free comics. Are they worth it? And I don't have any Kickstarter updates because they're all shipped out. They're all done. The only other Kickstarter, or we got a Kickstarter coming up. I don't have a link for that yet. I should have a link for you because there's the sign up page. I'll make sure I put it in the description box so that you will all have it. And we'll see that. So go sign up and help us. Also, if you're not signed up for our newsletter, please sign up for that because that's where you will get all the updates and we will let you know all of the cool stuff, including original artwork that will be available so that you can be one of the first to back the campaign. And this campaign, we're going to have a couple of mostly covers. I'm not sure we have any interior art for this upcoming one, but I think we've got about 6 pages of cover art. So sure, it's a fantastic opportunity to get original art. We've already got comments coming here. Mr. John Epple says, "Hey, Roland, what's up, John? Good to see you here. Thank you for tuning in, and don't hesitate to ask questions." So I'll tell you guys how. So here's kind of how this topic came up for me. as you guys know, I teach, right? And one of the things that we do is, or one of the things I do is I make my students read. Unfortunately, my university is read comics, I should say. Unfortunately, my university is too cheap to either provide me with the comics to give them, or to ask them, to require them to go out and get them. So I've had to ask for free comics, essentially. And at one point in time, I was sending them to Comixology and I was sending them to Indie Planet, but and I did that for a long time. But the problem is, how can I say this and not get myself in trouble? Many of my students were technologically challenged, and there was always difficulties getting the student to interact with the service, right? And so ultimately, then what I did is I put out another call and I said, "Hey, here's what I need. I need some comics. Basically, give me the PDFs." And the reaction from the independent community was astounding. It was fantastic. All people came out that I didn't know, right? I guess people had shared my post out, and I got all kinds of comics that I was able to provide for my students for them to read. But that got me thinking, right? Okay, well, what about free comics? And I've seen them on Indie Planet. I've seen them on Comixology, although Comixology doesn't exist now, so I'm not sure what that's all about. And of course, my students talk a lot about webtoons, which we all know they're all free.
Right.
As a content creator, though, I'm like, okay, if I give my stuff away for free, I like to buy stuff too. I want to go out and buy the I just got me a new graphic novel, by the way, World War II. Really, really good so far. Anyway, I want to buy stuff too. And so I got to thinking, it's like, well, if you do a free comic, you don't get any money from it. So is it really worth it? But I'm like, I know people who do it. So let's talk about it, right? That's kind of how we got here. So you guys want to offer up any initial thoughts before we get into the details, the minutia?
You first, Tom. You go.
Okay,
Tom, go.
Tom first.
I don't have the direct. So like I said in the pre-show, I don't have direct experience in the current marketplace. I have opinions.
Right.
May or may not be of value. And so I think to Roland's point of it's costing me money, I don't think it's costing you money.
Okay.
Those people aren't buying. It's PDFs, which are essentially free.
Okay.
And you're giving them to people who are not going to buy your comics before.
Okay.
So you're not taking money out of your pocket. You're potentially giving a comic away that will get somebody interested in comics in general, or might be interested in saying, "Oh, where can I get more of these? I'd be willing to pay for some stuff."
Well, okay, so my comeback to that would be, all right, well, the ones who aren't going to do it, I get that, I understand that, but just because it's digital doesn't mean that online doesn't mean it's free. We go to Comixology, you go to Amazon, see all kinds of digital content there that they'll charge 99 cents, $1.99.
Right.
So just because it's a PDF doesn't, and I know that there's not this group, right? But I know that there is a younger mentality that thinks that, okay, well, if it's online, it ought to be free.
Yeah.
Right. Yes, and you're not going to defeat that.
No,
ever.
So, but also, getting your comics from the library is also free.
That's true.
And so, nobody has a problem with that. I think what people have a problem with is that if you're giving away, like when I was publishing comics, when I was giving comics away to people, I was essentially giving away the residual or royalty work of others.
Right.
And so how do you explain to the creator of the comic book, "Oh, I'm giving your work away. Your royalty statement is not going to reflect that."
Yeah.
So you need some sort of financial infrastructure to understand that you're still going to pay the creator, even though you're giving the work away for free. So that's part of the equation as well.
So I remember, and you might remember more specifics, Tom, but I remember in the Malibu contracts there was something in there that said, and I can't remember the number of copies. I want to say it was 100 copies, 150 copies, or something like that. It said that they would be given away for free, in which you're going to get paid no royalties. And I remember asking you about that. I remember, I said, hey, Tom, because it was worded legalese, right? And I'm like, I don't. And you're like, Roland, these are the ones we're going to give away, just for reviews, for whatever. And I'm like, okay, yeah, do it. As a creator, it didn't bother me. I'm like, yeah, do it. I want that, right?
Well, because the royalty rate on 250 comic books isn't severe. I mean, yeah, it still takes money out of your pocket, but that money is like $15.
Right.
And so you already got the money up front, and you already got a residual anyway, or a royalty. And so you're basically losing $15.
Yeah.
Had it been, oh, we're going to do 100,000 and we're going to give them away, then that's a conversation I can't justify, right?
Yeah.
Because that's rent money, as opposed to hamburger money,
right?
So that I can't in good conscience go to you and say, hey, Roland, I'm going to take $1,500 out of your pocket this month, because that's not going to work for anybody. First of all, I can't defend it, and second of all, I can't do that to another creator.
Right. Now, I don't recall. I know we had a bunch of. When I say we, I know that Malibu had a bunch of freebies, and I know you had stashes of alternate covers and stuff like that you would give away.
Yes.
To fans. Someone would write a letter. You would send them a copy and say, "Hey, thanks for being a cool fan.
Yeah.
Here's a hologram," right? Kind of thing.
Yeah. We always had a thing, and we would always send a thing to retailers, and every time one of us would travel to another city, or some of us would go home for Christmas or whatever, we would take a stack of free comics and just say, listen, go by your local store, give them to the guy.
Yeah.
And so we were always handing out free stuff. And especially if you were, because that builds brand loyalty, and it builds yourself up as the company of, the nice people. I mean, you may not be nice people. You may just be pleasant, but giving stuff away is, I mean, if you see, there were tons of kids who would come up to our booth at San Diego or whatever, and you could tell they don't have two nickels to rub together. Their father is the comic book fan. Their father's dragging them around or whatever. And, they need something. And so you would just give them a free comic book and their face would light up, and does that grow my sales? Nah, not really. Does that harm anybody? No. Does it take money out of anybody's pocket? Okay, 4 cents or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it's a good gesture. It's how you build. And again, they may end up loving comics and never want to buy one of my comics ever, but you're part of an ambassador at that point. And so
it's a goodwill gesture, I think.
Right. You're a diplomat.
You're a diplomat, and as you said, it's not necessarily your comic, but you're a goodwill ambassador for the industry in general. And if you can create someone who loves comics from your goodwill, there's a good chance if you're making interesting comics, there's a good chance they will gravitate towards what you're doing.
Right, because everybody has a story about how they met somebody relatively famous or somebody in a business who was a jerk to them.
Yes.
And a lot of people have stories where they met some people who are like, oh, I met this guy at the convention over the weekend. That guy was cool.
Yes.
And so I'd rather be known, especially online now, as the cool person who gave away a free comic.
Right.
Than, a jerk who just said, go away, kid. If you don't have $2, I don't need to talk to you.
Right.
So I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a couple comments here. Cause CC, I see your question. I'm gonna hold off to your question until we kind of get around. We're going to join late by Mr. Thomas Florimonte, the all-around con artist. What's up, Tommy? Did you forget about us?
What's up? No. The computer just wasn't. I couldn't get logged in for whatever reason.
He's apparently in the Broadway show of Lion King.
Well, if he holds up his Gabby, we go. All right, so cool thoughts, Mike. What you got? Any general thoughts to toss in here?
Well, when it comes to free comics, you can argue one way or the other. I mean, does that say that you're saying your comic doesn't have value if you're giving it away? I don't necessarily believe that. And then,
I don't believe
you know,
Okay, so I don't either, but because you do give away a lot, I don't know if you give away everything, but you do give away a lot of content for free. Is that something that you as a creator have to kind of battle against, and that people say, oh well, it's for free, it must not be worth anything?
oh yeah, I mean, you've always got preconceived notions, but at the same token, I come at it from the point of view that, since, like what we're on right now, the internet, since the
Yeah.
inception, everybody believes anything on the internet's free. And opposed to certain salacious materials, everyone's had a problem monetizing things on the internet to a extent.
Yeah.
And so, when it comes to content, especially when you look at it from the point of view, is it really giving it away or is it marketing?
Yeah.
It's that's kind of how I've always approached it, because unfortunately, again, you see Webtoons. Webtoons has made this generation, it's free, and sure there's a way you can pay for it,
Yeah.
but I would like to know what the percentage of that is. Is it, I don't think it's there, because you have creators that that are paid by Webtoons to create material.
Right.
And that it's the advertising dollar. It's they're creating content for Webtoons. It's giving it away for free, but you're seeing advertising. You're getting clicks. You're getting all this other stuff. So a certain aspect of your potential readership is becoming very accustomed to the idea of free.
Yeah.
And you don't have the same mechanisms that were in the industry 30 years ago. You've got social media, and you've got all these other tools in front of you. But unfortunately, the stigmatism attached to that is it should be free because it's on the internet.
Yeah.
And so, what do you do with that?
Yeah.
And so you have to kind of roll with the punch, and you have to figure out, no one knows who you are. And so again, it's value versus marketing to me.
Yeah.
I have a counterpoint. So I agree with everything Mike just said, but for Webtoons, they hired Bobby Chase, and they're currently doing print editions of their most successful online stuff. So the stuff that they gave away for free, they're now selling in book format, because people who like the stuff still want to buy the book.
Yeah.
And stuff like Lore Olympus has already had like 4 massive 250-page volumes that are bestsellers. And so I think the giving it away for free over a period of 4 years or whatever drove interest in the actual books.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so is Webtoons paying for the marketing of comics, so where the successful ones rise to the top and get to become books? Or do comic book fans in general, are there different tiers of comic book fans where there are people who want to read the stuff for free on their phones, but then there's sort of an audience of comic book fans that is like, I really want the physical thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
I know a couple of guys that have run Webtoons, that they were paid creators.
Right.
And and you have guys that are comic guys through and through that are kind of existing in the Webtoons market. And they have to, I believe the deal is they can't do anything with it for 2 years.
Right.
But after 2 years, they can put it in print form.
So you guys remember and know Phil Foglio, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I remember reading something on his, and I may not get these numbers exactly right, but I remember something reading on his site at one point in time about Girl Genius, right? He started doing Girl Genius and said, I'm going to do this Girl Genius. And, he just started, I can't remember, I think it's like a page a day or something like that.
Right.
And what happened is he began to sell ads on himself. He's like, I'm going to sell ads to my website.
Right.
And it took him, I don't know, I can't remember. It was on, he made a blog about it at some point in time, but it took him like 6 months, 8 months, a year, something like that, until he was making a week for him from his own ad revenue, what he would have been making as a page rate at Marvel or DC.
Right.
And this was just all from him selling ads on his own site. So, okay, I have a hard time, coming up with a problem with that. A guy's making a page rate that he would be making at Marvel or DC, right?
It depends, because some people are sort of dilettantes and they think, well, I'm not getting my money from my comics, I'm getting my money from my ads. And so that's there. We know people who are like that, who would think that way. But to me, it's where it's just that the money allows you to continue to make comics. And again, in Phil's business plan, I still see him. I haven't seen him since the pandemic, so I don't know if he still does it. He used to have a booth at San Diego every year where he sold print editions of all the comics that he used to give away for free online.
And so that was all just free money at that point in time, right?
Yeah, because he's already. I mean, once you pay for printing, all that work is already done. It's just IP that you have that you shouldn't let sit around.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm a big believer in what Mike refers to as marketing.
The comments here, Vic says, it's been a long time, but Bonacera Silverliners. I'm going to run through some of these comments here. Amanda says, hey, yo, it's good to see you, Vic. He says, that's an amazing page rate. A month out of ads. Yeah, okay. So, crap, what else was I going to say? All right, let me get to some of these other questions, I guess. Because I got things I want to ask Tommy. John says Kindle bought Comixology, and surprise, it's not as good. Yeah,
right.
Okay, Kasisi says, I think this is an interesting topic. Does this question depend on where you are in your career? That's a good question. I think I would think that not having a lot of product out for folks who understand your work, it may be beneficial for a person to put themselves out there for free so that folks can get used to your work before you start charging. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Well, I agree.
So when the internet was just, becoming the internet, and guys who weren't working for Marvel or DC or weren't in the comics industry and their kind of material was not going to ever get published by Marvel or DC, those guys started doing their online comics.
Yeah.
And you had stuff like Dr. Ninja, and you had Saturday Morning Breakfast Cereal, and you had PvP, and they were putting their stuff out for free and either selling ads, because this was Internet 1.0, or they were just garnering up support for a product that they would eventually collect in book form. And so I think that is still a valid path, because the internet, putting something on the internet is free. You don't have to pay for printing. You don't have to pay for supplies. You don't have to do anything. You have
all you got to do is make it. If you can make it, you can. And that's what I told the story today. I did an interview this morning, and one of the things that I had brought to I know Tommy knows this, and Tom, I probably told you, is that when we first tried to do Cat and Mouse, we went out and solicited for the comic. And then we got orders back, and we're like, okay, now what do we do? Right? We didn't have the money.
The original run.
The original, This is pre Aircel and pre EF graphics. It's like we didn't have the money to do it, but we had a comic, right? We got our comic. Can somebody help us make it, right? And had the internet been around that day, I can easily see we would have just said, well, let's just put it up on the internet.
Because you had but I think you guys saw it as a way to break in.
Yes. Yeah.
This will lead not to, but this might also lead to money, and this might also lead to a call from Marvel or DC.
That was really the goal. That was this was doing Cat and Mouse was not this is our career, right? We're going to do Cerebus 300 issues. So no, we're going to do this comic, and people are going to see it, and people are going, oh, cool, I want to hire you, and I want you to come call for me. I want you to come ink for me. I want you to come write for me. That was
like an actor going out on an audition.
Yeah, very much so.
You're gonna because an audition for an actor is essentially free. You don't pay for that. You go out and you're with 300 other people, and you have to read the script for the producers.
Right. So yeah, I kind of agree with Kasisi. I do kind of think that some of it has to do with where you are in your career. If no one knows you, then you kind of got to do. Mike called it marketing, and so I think that's a good way to look at it.
And I also think that a lot of it depends on what your financial.
I'm trying to figure out what Mike is watching.
Oh,
okay. Is it coming across the volume?
Yeah.
I think a lot depends on where you are financially, because a lot of people get into comics and they think, I got to make it. I got to get this. I got to have my rent money. I got to have this. I got to do that. And I think if you go in it with that sort of desperation, you're going to have a hard time understanding where your place is at that point. Most of it is because when you guys started the first Cat and Mouse, I mean, you weren't desperate to break in. You had jobs and you had I wouldn't say you had a comfortable living because you were in your 20s or whatever, but you were still doing okay.
Yeah.
Your rent money wasn't depending on that call from Marvel or DC.
No, I was paying my rent through my 40-hour a week retail job.
Right. And so I think that's you're not in a position to suddenly quit your 40-hour a week job and go, I'm just going to do my comic book every 6 months.
No,
because I would look askance at you. And we would have to have a talk.
Well, and I also, and this is, I don't know if we talked about this live before, but this is also something that comes up sometimes. I got married, right? And she had a good job, and she had insurance.
Yes. And so and I would say that she is a supportive wife as well.
She is, yeah, absolutely.
She understands exactly who she married.
She did. She saw all the comic books before.
Right. There's no surprise where you suddenly bring out the vault of comics at the wedding and say, sorry, honey, this is what I'm doing.
There's our room and then there's a comic room, right?
Right. We're gonna need a 3-bedroom apartment if we're gonna have a kid.
No, they moved into a house together, and all of a sudden he filled his house with comic books, and she's like, "Where'd all that crap come from?"
Well, you live in an area that has basements, right?
No.
No. Oh.
No, you dig about a foot under the ground, you're going to hit water here.
Yeah.
I grew up in a house that had a basement, and that was
that was where you kept your comics.
Well, that was where you kept everything.
Attics.
Attics and
garages.
Yeah.
Big garages.
Yep.
Yeah. The unused, the disposed, the tossed away pallet is my best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep it off the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We, of course, we had, Tommy probably remembers this. I had cinder blocks and 2x4s. Across the cinder block.
The college bookcase.
Yeah. Exactly. Mr. David Ace Gutierrez, good to see you here. Mr. Gutierrez says, what about Lost Reader Comics, like when DC did their 10-cent Batman and Superman events in the aughts? Do you know if that helped drum up numbers for the events?
No, I don't think it. I don't think it moves. What it does is it just drives. It's a press release at that point. It's marketing. I don't think it moves the needle necessarily. It just makes people feel good about a 10-cent comic book.
Yeah.
Because it's still, the retailer still has to do the same amount of work for a 10-cent comic that he does for a $2 comic or a $4 comic, and so you're really putting a burden on retailers when you do it. You might as well give it away as opposed to just have a 10-cent comic.
Yeah. We talk about this kind of. We have talked about this kind of thing before. When let's see, do I have one around? When Silverline did stuff in the 90s. I gotta show you all this. My friend, Mr. This is interesting. My friend, Mr. J.C. Vaughn, who you guys know.
Oh yeah.
Asked me about the Silverline universe, and I told him, it's a thing, and it existed back then, and we're working to kind of bring it back a little bit. He goes, well, do you have any art? I said, well, yes, I do. So I've got to figure out how to get him a bunch of this art. Anyway, the whole point was we did a mailer that was all newsprint. I can't remember if I have one down here or not. It was really cheap to do. I can't find it now, but you guys, you all probably got one at the time. And it was just a little, 16-page booklet or something like that. No cover, all newsprint. And I think today, I look at the prices today, print 16 pages newsprint and give that away. That's like me handing 50 cents to everybody who walks by. Right. I don't have that kind of money,
That's why it's hard to give away a printed book now. It's as opposed to a PDF, or as opposed to just putting it on your website.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it's if I was at Marvel or DC, I don't think I would give away. I mean, like I think I would want to do like one free comic book giveaway per year,
Uh-huh.
like just as even if it's just free comic book day, and just do something where it was
You mean a printed comic? A
a
print
printed comic. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other freebie would be like an online thing.
Yeah.
Just to drive interest and stuff, especially if I had a new thing. Like if I just had a Batman spin-off comic, I wouldn't do it. But if I had some new thing,
Right.
then I was Marvel or DC, then I would do it for that.
Yeah. Well, I think I told you guys, one of the things that we have done with our move to Diamond is that, we have a retailer list, and when the solicitations have gone out, I've emailed all the retailers and said, look, here's a copy, here's a free PDF copy of the comic that I'm asking you to order. Here's the cover. It's not all the ads or anything. It's not all the editorial pages, but it's the comic, right? Here it is. So that, number one, it's done. Number two, you know what the content is, so you can decide whether it's something that your customer base would like or not, right? I don't have a problem with that, because that's, I had one guy email me back and said, hey, I put this on my website. I'm like, well, you didn't ask me, but I think I'm glad. I appreciate you doing that, because you put this on your website for your customer base to go look, and then they'll go order it.
Well, because that's the thing too, is that retailers only order based on pre-orders now.
Yes.
Yeah.
They don't order to stock a store necessarily. And his audience is basically buyers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you might get 50 people who read it online from that store account, which is fine. But if 5 people buy it, that's good business.
Yeah.
Because you weren't going to get those 5 otherwise.
Right. Yeah.
So
I see a couple of you other guys' questions, but I want to go ahead and ask Tommy this, and this is going to be a question that Mike, you can chime in too. So Tommy,
No.
so, and I know I'm not asking for a particular a title to give any. I'm not asking for information that you shouldn't give, but Indie Planet has a section of free comics. Okay.
Free digital.
Free digital comics. Okay.
No, not printed stuff. No.
Not printed stuff. No. I have a story about that with my students too, but that's another story. So it's been there for as long as I can remember, which is at least 15 years, right? In your experience, these free comics, right? Do you see people download these free comics and then go buy the next issue? So
they do.
You have
or they buy the one that's that they've downloaded for free.
Well, I was going to say, do you have any kind of mechanism that tracks that? Have y'all looked into those numbers at all? And
I can look it up, but everybody gets even if you sold your digital download for free, you get a count, personally. So we keep track of all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
I guess.
So you're asking how many people get after they've bought the digital, will they turn around and buy not everybody, probably.
Yeah, of course.
I wouldn't even say half, but 10, 20%. There's lots of them come through. You know what the weirdest part is? Somebody will get the digital download and the print version at the same time. And we look at those orders and we're like, what are you doing? I don't know.
Well, okay, so
because they want to read it now and then they want the print version. It's that's weird.
Right.
As a creator who's geeky enough to still be a collector, I get that, because you can read it, and then when your copy comes in, it's in a you guys send them in a bag and board, right?
No.
Yeah, but
well, okay. So even not, I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it in a bag, and I'm going to seal it up, and I'm going to put it in my collection. It's not going to be touched. I've read the digital copy. Yeah. I don't have to take risk messing up the paper copy, right? Am I wrong?
No, you're a weirdo. Because I'll tell you this, because I read Mike's comic online, and he sent me some printed ones that I have. And I read them again in print form because I like to read it in print. I'm not gonna treat it like it's rare fruits and vegetables or something.
See, Mr. Gutierrez says, I get it. I buy a CD, a digital album, and the vinyl.
Yeah, he's my people.
He's
Yeah.
a full collector. Yeah.
Because if I like something online, I want the book of it.
Yeah, it's like buying a movie. You know, we can watch digital movies all day long, but if it's something that I really like, I still go buy it. And
Yeah.
I never even opened the package.
I got DVD cases behind me.
Yeah, behind the sofa here, this is just full of movies underneath this cabinet, and I bet a quarter of them aren't open.
That's fine.
You know, yeah.
That's funny.
Why would I open it? I just wanted to. That collector nerdiness of you just wants you to collect it.
Yeah. Well, and you want to own it, right? There's something I think too about the digital, the whole digital realm that I don't feel like I own it. Right? Yes, I paid money for it, but I don't feel like I own it.
Right. Yes, and
then you can get your NFTs all day long.
Also, there's a
different conversation.
There's a thing where if you're lazy like I am, and I don't want to necessarily fire up the computer or the tablet and go look online to find my thing and read it on my screen. I want to take the book. I want to go in a chair. I want to turn the light on overhead, and I want to just sit and read it like Abraham Lincoln would do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
I don't need technology for everything.
Tom's carrying his candle around with his book.
Right. You know,
what Tom meant was he wants to be able to read comics while he's sitting on the pot. Is what he was trying to say. He just didn't want to say that.
I use my phone for my toilet reading.
Oh, okay.
How else will I drop the phone in the bowl?
Oops.
So, all right. So there's a couple other questions here. Cassisi says, I think the difficult part is understanding at what point you start to charge. Okay, so let me put this in perspective for you guys. So Cassisi he's a rookie, right? He's just got he's got some books out now that I've seen when I've seen him post. Cassisi, I don't know if you've noticed, I've tried to share, and he's given a lot of that stuff away. So it sounds like, and don't let me put words in your mouth, Cassisi, it sounds like what you're trying to figure out is like, at what point in time should you stop giving away your content for free and start charging for it? You guys have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, but I don't think I want to be first yet.
Well, the way I look at it is, I do it concurrently. I give my content away to a point for free. There's a reason behind it. You do it page by page, but you incentivize the idea of buying the print.
Right.
That when you get the print copy, not only do you have the print copy, but there's maybe something a little extra that I don't put on the digital part of it.
Yeah.
It's like what I'm doing right now. What I'm playing for my newsletter is doing the main story. But if you want a bonus story, if you want behind the scenes material, it's going to be in the print copy.
Yeah.
The way my experience so far is the people that are just going to read the digital copy, they're not, that's as far as it's going to go. Yeah. But the people that enjoy my stories, that enjoy Man in the Mask, they're just waiting till the print copy is ready. I mean, all I have to do is say, hey, it's ready. So I'm not really, when I put something out digitally, I'm not necessarily, they're not the ones that they may observe it every day, but they're looking forward to the print copy. So the people that are maybe wanting to give it a try, that's who I'm trying to reach. Yeah. The people that, because comics are expensive. The market is very, very small comparatively. The economy the way it is, you kind of want to see how much you can reach, and then your supporters at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. So so I do it concurrently. The idea is I have a certain audience that will probably always look at it for free, but the other part of it is I know that they'll pick up the print copy. There's a certain section that's going to pick up the print copies because I'll put something extra in the print copies. There's an incentive to buy the print copies.
Yeah.
In addition to having it in your hands.
Because I think because of the way the internet works, because of the way people think about the internet, you're not going to make money putting it on the internet. So I don't think you can say, oh, I'm putting it on the internet, I'm going to charge people. I don't think that works. I think you can charge people as soon as you put it into print form.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's it. And I think what Mike has done by adding value to the print edition makes it more desirable for people who want to buy a printed comic book.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's the way you look at it. You're going to give it away for free on the internet because you can't fight that. You might have a tip jar or donations
Right.
Yeah.
and that kind of thing, but I don't think you can make any kind of money charging people to look at stuff on the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and that's one of the things I was going to say is that I think, because that's really good advice. Thank you. I think that you can still give your digital versions away, but you have resources like Kablam that you can go and you can print out 10 copies if you're like, oh, I'm afraid I can't sell very many copies. Well, just go print out 10 copies and then see what happens, right? See if people are buying them.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, look, I sold my 10 copies. I'm going to go order 25 this time, right?
Yeah. And just print 50 before you go to a local show.
Yes. Yeah.
Just
And
print 'em
then,
as you need 'em. Yeah.
Yep.
and you print them as you need them, because that's the thing. You don't have to. The great thing about Kablam is you don't have to print a ton of inventory and have a pile of boxes in your garage.
That's right.
You can print to the show.
That's right. And then you don't have to have a pile of boxes so that when Marvel buys you and then shuts you down, you don't have to throw them all in the dumpster.
That's right. You can avoid all those nasty surprises.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and I think dark doesn't.
And I think that Vic says print on demand is a beautiful thing, and I agree with that, Vic. And really, in all honesty, I don't think we would be sitting here having this exact same conversation if Kablam didn't exist, because I don't know that I would have launched back into comics in the way that I did with Silverline without Kablam. Yeah, Kablam. Because you just, I'm like, no, I can't afford. I did the Brenner Morgan, and, printing like that, and I'm like, I can't do it. But Kablam affords a smaller operation to say, look, I need 25 copies. I need 100 copies.
Right.
That's all you got to do,
Yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing, and
Exactly.
And the paper is chef's kiss. You got
it's far better. So there's a couple other questions, but Mike, one of the things I want to ask you is that so how do you as a creator, how do you kind of measure? Okay, I've given this thing away for free. How do you kind of measure what this free thing generates in the sense of sales or money for you?
Well, I see it in a couple of different ways. Every time I do a show, the question is always asked, did you see this online? Because somebody will ask me that sometimes. I saw that so-and-so, or I think I've seen your character somewhere before, and then you kind of do it that way. But, I measure it against, the good thing I think about Kablam and Any Plant, I get sales. I get emails from them. I know when something sells. I know when something's downloaded for free. Yeah. So at least on that aspect, and then on my own end, I've got, the great thing about my newsletter, I know what people who's reading it, how are they reading it? Are they doing it in the app? Are they doing it in email? What was responded to better? And now I'm getting paid subscribers. That's another aspect of the newsletter that I'm kind of venturing in on, that I'm offering paid content in addition to the free comics.
Yeah.
So, I can see reports that way. And then, like I said, it's just the general knowledge that you kind of get from, again, I'm always really hard to say I have fans, because that just seems like somebody else. But a particular fan base, there's a particular feedback that I get from, I call my maskers, the guys that will, no matter what I put out, they buy. And, that way I keep a count. And that's essentially how it is. I mean, it's very informal. I'm not sitting here, running a comic empire. It would be great if I was. But the free stuff is just basically to get eyes, because I work really hard on this stuff.
Yeah.
And again, because the market's the way it is, and comics aren't as accessible as they used to be. Yeah. And I was heavily influenced by self-publishers of the 90s. And those guys, they really took a knock to get their stuff out there.
Yeah.
And so, it's a balance of, I would love to be paid for everything I do, but I also realize the knowledge of who I am I'm a niche of a niche. Doing a mass book in indie comics, and it's still in 2024 is just like it was always. People think, well, I can get that at Marvel and DC. So, I try to show what the free also allows me to show why mine's a little bit, more palatable. There's a reason that I do it the way I do it. The way I get, like I said, the way I can measure it is just by the feedback that I get. That's primarily how I go about it.
Yeah.
I think yours is also an easier sell to people than some other indie comics because you can look at it and go, I know exactly what this is.
Yeah. I hope.
The title is Man in the Mask. The art is very crisp and clear. And you can see, I know what this is a guy who fights bad guys. He fights crime. And, it has sort of a realistic cartoony approach to the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not a hard sell. You don't have to explain an entire universe to me.
No.
Yeah.
So I give you huge points for being able to do that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right, so some more of our comments here. Let's see here. Kasisi, we're backtracking a little bit. Says if I listen to an audio book I like, I buy the hard copy as well.
There you go.
We were talking about digital content. David A. Gutierrez says, and also you don't own any digital content today.
That's correct. And we've all seen places where the digital vault has been shut down for whatever reason. The company's in business. Right. You've lost all your stuff.
Yes, all the stuff that you bought that you thought you owned, that they closed down.
The silly NFT stuff.
Yeah, it turns out
that rock.
You only rented all your NFTs.
Tommy's on an NFT roll.
As it should be.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it, but I just don't, what
they haven't figured it. So here's my take on it. The whole thing, they haven't figured it out yet. I'm with you. I like the idea.
No, I think they figured it out. I still think it's just stupid. That's
right. It's just stupid. Yeah.
I'm with Mr.
I mean, I guess you feel that you own one version of the thing, but if everybody can read it, then what do I care? I don't want to own it. I just wanted to read the thing. So I don't have to own it.
I own a JPEG, right?
I'd rather own Danbury Mint plates than
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a silly thing.
Let's see here. And talking about digital, you're leasing the content. Yep. Mr. John Apple says there's something different or substantial about physically reading a book. I agree with that.
Apple and I are brothers.
Yeah. Let's see. Vic Du says print on demand is a beautiful thing. I'd be in a much different place if Kablam wasn't around, solely because of how much Silverline has affected me. Oh, that's awful. Awful nice of you to say, Vic. And then he says, I think me and Mike had the conversation similar to this before. Yep. And then he says, for once, I'm with Tommy on this, on the NFT.
For once.
For once. So let me go back.
No, I would go back. I think it's neat. I really do. I think it's really cool. I just think it's stupid.
It's stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid. And I don't think it's an old person, young person thing either. I think it's stupid.
No. Yeah, you're investing in nothing.
In air.
It's snake oil. That's all it is, snake oil.
What's the difference of me just saying that I owned it all?
Right.
It means the same thing to me. What does it matter? I guess I couldn't trade it to somebody. Well, unless I tricked you. Hey, Tom, I got some stuff. You want to buy some NFTs?
Well, I do. Can I touch it?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the I've got a bridge to sell you in Louisiana, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you? How much do you want for it, Roland?
I'll take it $1. $1.
Send it over.
So, Mr. David Ace Gutierrez says, if Silverline and Malibu launched today, would you start off with a free comic? Does Free Comic Day court new readers?
No.
No.
I've been many a free comic book day stuff, and I'm just like, yeah.
Every retailer I know dreads Free Comic Book Day.
Yeah. Well, my favorite shop that I go to in Biloxi, they he still does really, really well on Free Comic Book Day, but by the couple of months later, those people are not going.
They're gone.
They're gone.
It's a 1 day spike.
Well, they'll get a few days. They'll get like a month or two of the kids. Oh, look at that! You'll get another comic, and then they end up disappearing. Yeah.
Well, I also think because a lot of it is geared towards kids showing up at the comic book store, but there's not a lot of stuff in comic book stores for kids.
No.
and so there's no reason for them to necessarily come back. And so
that's probably one of my biggest complaints about the industry today is that there's
we got to
nothing
do
there.
something about it.
We're not rebuilding them. Yeah, they're catering to the so many of them are catering to old guys like us, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the
And then
retail
it's
store.
gonna-
The kids market is still huge, just outside.
Right.
It exists outside the comic book store.
Let me look. So let me
Did we have
rephrase
an
that.
animated
the traditional
cartoon
comic
show?
market,
Did we-
Right. Yeah.
The one
Yeah.
that we love and
Yes.
grew up in.
Yeah.
Clubhouse
Every retailer that I've ever talked to about it says that it's some of their best retail days ever. But that's
Yes.
I mean, it
And then
doesn't.
stop.
Yeah. It's just that one blip, and then nothing else really follows.
Yeah.
It's like a Black Friday after Thanksgiving.
Because what happens is people come in, oh, free comic book day. Hey, let's go get some free comics. Oh, look,
And they
here's
want to
some free
just
books.
grab everything.
You know,
off the shelf.
that's it. And then they grab other stuff off the shelf because they're like, man, I used to read Spider-Man. Oh, look, I used to read these. I'm gonna buy this graphic novel, right? I'm gonna buy this collection or something.
And I've also heard it's a way for retailers to sort of target some of their back issues to get rid of.
Yes.
They know which customers are coming in. So if they've got extras of stuff that can cater to that audience, they'll just move
Put them
some
in
old stuff.
the dollar bin, the quarter bin.
Yeah, the dollar and the quarter bin.
Yeah.
Well, heck, around here, the free comics aren't even free anymore. You have to buy a certain amount of comics in the store, and then you get your choice of 3. I mean, a lot of stores here. I was shocked.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there's probably at least 5 stores I know here that you have to have, buy $6, and then you get your choice of 3. You have to have
yeah.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this is in Richmond, right?
Also,
This is
for
Richmond. Yeah.
publishers.
Richmond and Lexington, the 4 stores that are in Lexington. Yeah, I mean, it's like you have to have a certain amount you buy, and then you can pick the comics. Because they have people just basically coming in, getting the free comics, and then walking right back out the door.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I might be one of those people.
well, I'm guilty of that too sometimes.
Well, yeah, and it's not. A lot of the local stores here will limit you on how many you can have. But
Right.
I've known. I mean, Tommy and I have done some free comic book day signings together, and I've talked to people who are like, "Yeah, this is the 3rd store we've hit up today."
Yeah.
And what they
try to
do
get
is,
everything.
they just get in their car and they're like, "Hey, I got three here. I'm going to go get 5 there, and I'm going to get 3 there, and I'm going to and they go around and they get them all."
Having 3 stores in one area that you can drive to feels like a rich man's game for me because there's my closest store is 90 miles away.
Oh my gosh! Well,
That's the way I used to be.
yeah, Tommy and I grew up that way.
No, there wasn't a store at all.
Yeah.
I had the newsstand growing up, but
convenience store.
My route on comic book day was 4 7-Elevens and a Hop In and a drugstore.
Drugstores are great.
What's the Hop In?
Yeah.
K&B Drugs is where I used to get.
Hop In is like a 7-Eleven, but it was regional.
Okay, all right. I never heard of that.
Yeah.
We had the 7-Elevens and the oh crap, what was the name of that other one?
Junior Food Store.
Piggly Wiggly.
It was on Bullfrog Corner. Is the only thing I can remember.
Jitney Jungle.
No, I did those too. Yeah, let's see here. Let's see. Mr. Gutierrez said, "I welcome Disney Marvel buying me and then putting me on the shelf." Mr. Epple says, "Am I still the redheaded stepchild then, Tom?"
Yes.
Vic says, "I'm a young person. You guys are old people. We both think it's stupid."
There we go. Vic and I are brothers now too.
Yep. Vic says it's a quick spike for little progress. Free comic book day isn't what it used to be, and that there may be a lot of truth in that. There's been a lot of changes. Vic says my store doesn't have an amount to buy the comics, but they do limit it to 2 or 3.
I understand.
Yeah, I do too. I totally get that. You come in, you make your choice. Pick what you want.
Yeah, whenever Roland and I go to a free comic book, as soon as they put the books out, we're going, I'm going to see what they got.
Yeah. We'll go look at them. Which one do you want?
I want that. Get that Spider-Man book and the animated book.
Yeah.
I need to get that.
That's right.
Like, what are you doing? Nothing. We're doing it.
We're just looking. Yeah. So,
Well, I got an idea. I got an idea.
Yes.
So what we're talking about doing the free comic book thing.
Mhm.
So why not do all right, I do know a printer, so I can't say for me, but for the digital version, why not put everything but don't put the whole book up there and then put a big thing at the end saying, "Hey, you want to finish this book? You got to go buy it."
Well,
that kind
that's
of
what Mike said.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're 25 minutes late.
well, I was late getting on. So
Well, great minds think alike. So
yeah,
Well-
so with all the and Roland knows all my little books that I do are only 8 pages a piece. So
Yeah.
so I tend to do that with the print versions too. I will give out the first issue. I don't give out issues 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's always just so I probably got of the issue 1 of both of my little tiny books that are only 8 pages. I probably got 5,000-6,000 copies out there.
So hold on, Tommy. Let's talk about that for a minute.
The ones that I give away, that one.
Because I remember you telling me this is something that you do, is that you'll give away the first issue, a printed copy of the first issue.
Yeah.
Or they'll even buy it, and you'll tell them.
Oh, I do tell them.
You read it, and if you like it, come back and
after I thought, even if I've signed it, and they and then they'll come back and usually get the rest, or they'll buy the trade, and then I'll take it back. And usually I just end up giving the ones that have already been signed to somebody else. But yeah,
so that's marketing.
Yeah.
But
And I think,
but you can do that online, for your digital books. Just don't put out the whole book. Just
So I think
all but the end, and then snag somebody they want to finish the story. They got to go buy it.
So that's my biggest takeaway from this conversation, is that if you're going to do a free comic book, it has to be part of a marketing program.
Yeah.
Where you've sort of thought out the next 6 steps. You can't just give away a free comic book and wait for a bag of money to show up.
Yeah.
No.
You gotta there's some legitimate and tactical strategies that you can do to sort of enhance your giveaway program.
Yeah. I love David Ace Gutierrez's suggestion here. It says, leave out Act 3.
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
I know this is way before my time, even though I'm an old man, is that movies used to be that way too, where you'd go to a movie serial in the 1930s or whatever, and it'd be a 8-chapter movie, but they'd only show you 1 chapter. So if you wanted to see what happened next, you had to go back to the movie the following week or the following month. And so that's and comic books in general are a serialized form of entertainment. That's why you can argue, and again, I know I'm way off topic now. You can argue that one of the reasons why Marvel surpassed DC is that DC was all the one and done stories in the 60s, and Marvel got you to go to the news
long haul
every month because they would leave you on a cliffhanger. They never wrapped anything up. And so they became more soap opera. And that's the way our brains go. We're like, I got to find that next issue. I got to hunt that thing down.
I need to know what happens next.
Give me a reason to come back.
Yep.
Exactly.
Whereas Batman and Superman were always solving the mystery.
And it's done.
The locked room in 8 pages or whatever. The genius of Kirby and Stan and Ditko and all those guys is that they made me come back.
Yeah.
And that's a strategy that I think, it sounds like an old man strategy, but I think that is a strategy that still works. You've got to give people a reason to come back.
You were excited about it. You were excited to see what next. Yeah.
I think that's absolutely it.
TV works the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Streaming works the same way. I'm gonna binge all 8 because I can't stand to not know. I'm gonna, and the worst thing is when they drop an episode every week. It's like every Friday I gotta find out. So I think the strategy of the giveaway has to be in line with the how can people come back.
I this past week I got injured playing ball, and this past week I was sitting on the couch a lot, right? And I was reading, but I'm like, I want to watch, because Roger McKenzie was on with our Wednesday crew. We're going to get him on to talk to us as well.
Oh, good,
cool.
Yeah, but maybe thinking about Daredevil, and I'm like, man, I need to watch Daredevil, and I binged like at 12 midnight. I binged like 4 episodes. I'm like, I've seen this. Why am I doing this? Right? I've seen it already, but here I am going, oh, I got to see what happens next. I'm like, I already know what happens.
Yeah, but it's you get more out of it when you watch it again.
Yeah.
And you get excited about it.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. And but yeah, I absolutely think that that's exactly what one of the magic things of comics is that David A. Scooter says DC survived because Wolfman Perez went soapy.
Yes, they did.
I agree.
They did.
It was the first truly Marvel comic that DC published.
That's right. And that's what made me start reading DC.
Right.
Because I was not before then.
Post-crisis, that they adopted that, and they got a readership. I mean, seriously, that brand new readership.
Well, and the other thing that got me to DC was the Crisis, because of I will say this now, and I know this is not a very popular thing to say. I am not a fan of the multiverse. I'm just.
I hate it.
I can't stand it.
It's a big confusion.
And it's like I didn't buy DC Comics way back when because of the multiverse. Because I what do you mean? There's another Superman there, and the what? But he didn't like Batman. What? Yeah, I didn't like it then. So when they had Crisis, I was all in. And now it seems like Marvel is embracing this, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe is embracing this. And I'm like,
way too much.
I'm done with you guys. I'm done. Yeah.
Well, because go ahead, Mike.
No, I was going to say I'm with you on the multiverse. I like separate universes. I don't like the crossovers, because when you do the crossovers, you're basically saying this character isn't so good, so I need to create a new one so you'll be more interested in them.
Yes.
So, but I don't mind separate, golden age, silver age kind of things. I don't mind those, but I don't like the crossing over of them.
Right.
Because the comparisons is where it's like, well, this one's not as good as this one, so I'll just create a new one you might like better. Yeah. And it just gets endless.
I'll put a blue cape on
I'll stop. Yeah.
Now, when I was a kid, and DC would do their Earth 1 and Earth 2 crossover in the Justice League every year, where it was, and they would bring in the Superman and Batman of Earth 2, and then they would also bring in the Seven Soldiers of Victory, whatever, and they would have this massive 15 character crossover, and they would end up splitting the group. Half of you go over here, and half of you go over here, and the rest of you go over here, and then they fight this guy. When those comics would come out on the stands, I would just look at them and go, I'm not interested in this at all.
No,
I don't want to. The last thing I wanted to see was 15 or 20 lame superheroes, fighting each other. I wasn't interested. But when Marvel does it, when Marvel did it in the Stan and Roy and Jack and Steve comics, I really enjoyed it.
Well, because it was you didn't see a second. You didn't see a second Thor, a second Iron Man. You saw Hyperion. No. You saw Lady Lark, right? You saw different characters. There was an alternate Earth, but you saw different heroes.
Right. DC was intent on trying to explain to me how their old characters were still alive as the new characters were here. And it's like, I'm not interested.
Mr. Gutierrez wins the award for best comment of the night. Earth C, man loves many Earths. Yeah. All right. So my clock tells me that we've been on for an hour. Right. I think that I'll start, and then we can go around, all you guys. I think that free comics, just throwing them up for free, I don't know that there's any inherent value in that. I don't know that there's anything that the creator can stand to gain from that. I don't know. I just don't think that that's a good idea.
I guess it really depends on the goal, right?
Yeah.
Well, yes. Okay,
I just wanted to do a book or page and put it up, and you don't care if you're making any money ever.
Well, okay, there's that. Yeah. That's not me. I would like to see.
That's a lot of work.
I would like to see it turn into
a lot of work. Yeah.
I don't need to pay my house note from it, but I would like to see it, turn around and generate some income, right? So I think Tom kind of hit on it, and I may be still in Tom's thunder in this. Is I think that has to be calculated. I think it has to be, okay, I'm going to give you this free comic book, but here's part of what comes next, right?
I stole my opinion from Mike.
and apparently I did too.
Yeah, I'm just I just borrowed from Mr. Belcher. I didn't actually come up with anything on my own.
See, that's what happens, Mike, when you let everybody else go first.
But I think that's absolutely true. I think because you have to put on a marketing hat, and you have to put on some kind of goal oriented hat of, it's that question they always ask you in school: where do you want to be in 5 years? It's like, so you count that backwards. I'm going to put up my comic book, and these are my goals, and these are my milestones that I want to hit, and this is what I plan to do, and this is when I plan to go into print, and this is how much audience I need, and this is how much money I need, and I'm going to build. And it's why Kickstarter campaigns sort of fail or succeed, I think, because the ones that fail, those people don't really have an audience.
Right.
Yeah.
They haven't built a network. They don't have a connected group of people who can support them. They haven't built up demand for their product. And the ones that are really successful, they have an existing audience that they can tap into and help. And so that's,
know where they are.
Yeah. And they've built that over time. It's sort of like, your first day of school in first grade, you don't know anybody.
Right.
Your last day of high school, you should know everybody.
Everybody. Yeah.
And it took you 12 years to get there. And that's how I think you have to go. You have to start knowing nothing, and then you add on people.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is, again, I'm stealing Mike's argument again from 25 minutes ago.
Tommy, what do you think? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going with Mike. You gotta have a plan. I mean, there's no reason, if you're going to be giving them out, you have to have some sort of, if I'm going to do my part, you got to have something that the fan they've got to do their part, which would be to buy the books. So there's got to be marketing, I guess.
Because I am, to Roland's point, I am motivated by money because I'm an old person and I have rent and I have bills and I have everything else. But I'm also motivated by having an audience of people who like my stuff. Yeah. And I think that's because somebody can give you $5 and it's like, okay, that's great. But somebody who comes up to you and says, man, I really like this book, I can't wait to see the next issue or whatever. That to me is killer.
It's gold.
That's like having someone say yes to the prom, and that's
that's what you want. That'll lead you to the money.
Right.
So you guys don't hate on me for this, but this interview this morning, I spent an hour with the guys, and when I got off, I went in there and told my wife, I said, this was not that the others aren't fun, but I said, this was a really fun interview. And she says, why? I said, these guys were fans of me. I said, they didn't ask me a single question about Malibu Comics.
Right.
I said, it was all about you this and you that, and I'm like, that was fun. They weren't trying to sit down. Well, tell me about the coloring department of Malibu, right? It's like,
right.
It's like,
and what about those Image guys?
Right, yeah. Why did you guys lose Image, right?
Yeah, what happened there?
Yeah. So it was a lot like Tom said, it was golden. So yeah.
There's nothing better than being able to take a thing that you create sort of alone in the dark in your house, and you're not really, I mean, you think it works because you're experienced and you've done it before and you sort of know like, oh yeah, I like this stuff.
Right.
But then you go out in the public sphere, whether it's online or in person at a show or wherever, and somebody says that they like what you did.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's nothing better.
No, there's not.
Absolutely great.
I will add a little asterisk onto that too, in that when you are collaborating with a team, right? When you have your thing and you're going,
right?
A writer loves to hear, okay, I finished my script. I'm going to give it to you, artist, and then it's you just sit there and chew on your fingernails. Is he going to like it? Is the artist going to like it? Is he right? And it's like, it's been 3 days. Why hasn't he responded? Right? Does he hate the script? Oh no! Right? There's a lot of truth in that, right? This last script I sent Pete, I had to ask him, dude, did you read the script? Oh, I liked it. I really enjoyed it. And then he went, that turned dark. That was all he said. And I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah, but I think we've all known creative people who are not necessarily as effusive as we would like them to be.
Right.
Because the industry itself doesn't necessarily attract people who would be extroverted and theatrical about their praise.
That's very true.
It really comes from the audience.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's anyway, I'll just repeat myself if I keep going.
Yeah. All right. Last chance for any final comments, guys.
NFTs.
Yeah. Have a plan. Figure it out. If you're going to do it free, do it. Yeah.
Go to Mike's website and go look at Man in the Mask.
That's right.
There you go.
Yep, absolutely.
And join Mike on his plan.
That's right. And,
I agree with Mike.
And and that's what Vic says. He has one final thought, and that's completely original. Mike was right.
There we go. He was right 25 minutes ago, and he's right again now.
On Tuesday, that Silverline show on Tuesday, the guys are going to have a special guest, Mr. Victor Dandridge. For those of you who know, Vic Dandridge is he calls himself the busiest man in comics. I met Victor Dandridge through a bunch of shows, Wizard Worlds. And I can't remember what his title. He had a title from Wizard World, but I don't think he works with them anymore. I don't know. You got to tune in on Tuesday to hear Tim, TK, and the crew talk to him. On Wednesday, the Wednesday Whammers will be here. Question and opinion round robin part 2. Fun and fast multimedia. This would get Barb has to be hosting this one. Fun and fast multimedia and miscellaneous questions in a timed round robin format for our intrepid team.
Oh no, that's
dangerous.
I'm out. Yeah, that's
yeah.
If you're gonna put a clock on me, no, I'm out.
Yeah. She trusts it to keep it moving. Next week we're gonna continue our Malibu reunion tour here. Former Malibu accountant Kirk Patterson is going to join us, and so
damn fine softball player.
That's right, and basketball.
That's
and
right.
Basketball.
Because he's like 6'4", isn't he?
I think I'm taller than Kirk.
Really?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
But he's an athletic guy.
Yes.
Let's just say that he is an athlete.
So he's gonna know where all the money went.
So yeah. So Tom, that makes me think you should get him to tell the story of the Malibu versus Image basketball game.
I wasn't even there.
Yeah, Charles Marshall played. I remember that because Charles Marshall's a tall guy. Marshall's I think 6'5". Man, they beat the dog out of us.
Of course they did.
You look at them and you think it's one of those things that you look at them and get Kirk to tell the story, but you look at them and you think these guys are all really short. We're going to beat the dog out of them.
No, they're street players though. They
ran circles around everybody on that court.
They play basketball 24 hours a day, 365 a year because the weather's so good.
Yeah. So next week, Mr. Kirk Patterson, join us for that. And until then, remember to
make mine Silverline.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Hi, my name is Paul Kupperberg. Make mine Silverline.